visiting to be done, but we will have a break in a little bit and we're going to get started shortly. Welcome, everyone. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Kim Hextall, the President of Canadian Western Agribition. And welcome to the 53rd CWA AGM. This is a little new for us. This is our second year out here at the Turvey Centre, and I know everyone really enjoyed it here last year. So thanks for joining us, everyone who's made the effort to get here in person, and also all of those who are watching us online and are going to be voting online as well. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. I would ask that you please turn off your cell phones or turn them down to vibrate. And if you do need to take a call, could you kindly step out into the lobby? I would like to introduce Mayor Sandra Masters, and she will be bringing greetings in a few minutes. Our executive for the past year has included, and I'll have you stand as I announce your names, Past President Chris Lees, Vice President Michael Latimer, and 3 executive at large, Kelsey Ashworth, Levi Jackson, and Blake McMillan. Our remaining directors, elected directors, are Kelly Howe, Marty Cradaville, Courtney McDougall, Grant McClellan, Garth Newell, Ali Pike, Carol Poole, and Carl Sauter. We also have 3 appointed directors, Those are Angela Hall, Dana Hicks, and Chad Jedlik. And thank you to all of you for your help and support and all the time and effort you've put into this organization over the last year. I am to introduce the past presidents. And I'm looking for my list. So, do you have one, Kristen? Yeah. All right. This is going to be fun, you guys. I don't even have a list in front of me. Audrey Horkoff. Give a wave or stand, whichever you would like. Dale Strudwick. Reed Andrew. Shannon McCartan. Brian Hadland. Here. Bill Awley. Gordon Stevenson. And Chris Lees. You were up earlier, okay. So thank you also to all of our past presidents for the continued support they provide to the organization. They're a great resource and we do call on them. Thank you to IKS for their webcast and live stream services today. Our parliamentarian for today's meeting is Dale Strudwick. Resolutions will be handled by Michael Latimer if we have resolutions. And the election buddy, the voting process for that. For those voting online, the live stream link will be emailed to you. Upon the first motion, you will receive an email from Election Buddy. Please check your junk mail and mark as a safe sender. This email will include your access key and a password, CWA 2024. Keep your web browser open, and the next motion will pop up automatically when it opens for voting, and you will be notified individually prior to each motion. Note, there may be a few second lag. And there'll be a few second lag up here for me too as I wait for those votes to come in. During the meeting, if you have questions, you can ask them during our question and answer period and ask them at the mic that's been provided. And also by submitting them online to cwaquestions@agribition.com, and please leave your name if you're sending an email. First order of business is to approve today's agenda. Approve the agenda as circulated. I am looking for a motion. Bill Awley, a seconder. Marty Cradaville. In favor? Opposed? And we will, oh, my girls down here are saying, whoa. So this must be like the 4-H speech and I'm talking too quickly. So we're pretty fortunate today that we don't have white out there like last year. It was pretty snowy. And I know the day after the meeting I think Carl left, phoned me and said, no, stay in Regina for a while, the highway's not great. So it'll be nice this year if we can all get out of here safe and sound. This is the fun part about a blended meeting. I always have reservations about us doing this, but at least we are letting more people have the opportunity to take part. Online voting is closed. And has the motion passed? Motion to accept the agenda has passed. Minutes from the 52nd annual meeting held on April 19th, 2023 have been provided in your packages as you entered the hall. Are there any errors or omissions? Not seeing any, could I ask for a motion to approve the 2023 AGM minutes? Reed Andrew, and seconded by Courtney McDougall. And the link to vote on that motion has been sent to the members. So those online, please open the email and vote on accepting the minutes of the last AGM. Is this mic too loud? No? Okay. It sounds loud to me. And the results? Okay, motion has passed. Just move on to a short report. So we were pretty fortunate that the weather cooperated. Mother Nature looked fondly upon us last year at the show. And we had a record attendance, at least as far as any numbers we were able to locate. I know Sean went over them again and again and wondered if from one year to the next we could have over a 22,000 person increase in our visitors, but that's what he's come up with. So our attendance last year was 142,800 plus visitors to the show over 6 days. And I guess that explains why it seemed full in those barns and in all those hallways throughout the week. We also had over 24,000 rodeo fans visited the Brant Center to join us for those 4 nights of rodeo. And the success of the show is really due to the dedication of all of those volunteers, staff, directors, and people in this room, and so many that aren't here with us right now, that pull that show together, and we have a great time. There's evidence of it across the city, and people are engaged and happy to be there. And it's one of those places where you go and visit those friends that you may only see once a year. During this time, Agribition has expanded to reach countries across the globe. We had visitors from 69 countries at the 2023 show, and registrations are now coming in for the International Incoming Buyers Program. So we look forward to having many more visitors join us. New elements of the show this year included the Animal Ag Tech Awards and the first Miss Rodeo Agribition. And Ariana Dick was crowned during the show, and she has since been to some events and is representing us. So it's kind of exciting for her, young female out there representing this organization, which she looks to very fondly. We had a CWA golf tournament in July. That was the first, and plans have already are well on the way for the next, and we already have some teams registered. Thanks to you for those that have registered. The constant in the show is certainly the people that desire to be there and be part of this great organization, and I expect that to continue. Thank you. I would now like to hand this over to Sean for his report. My apologies. Sandra, can I have you come up here and bring us greetings?
I was just waiting to hear from Sean, guys. That's what I was waiting to do. Good afternoon, and thanks so much for having me. You know, when I get to come and give greetings, sometimes it's just, the only reason I come is, number one, welcome to Regina. To those of you tuning in virtually, welcome. The message is just one of gratitude. You are a world-class organization, and it is a world-class event, and the city of Regina is privileged to have you host in our city as a marquee event for coming on 52 years. So I would just say that, you know, on behalf of my council colleagues in the city of Regina, we are grateful to the Canadian Western Agribition that you hold your annual general meeting here, but most importantly that November event comes along and gets executed in world-class style. We know that attendance was up last year. I agree, Kim, it felt really full. And in terms of the mission that you as an organization worked on to be educational, entertaining, and competitive, I think you knocked it out of the park. It's one of those things from an urban center that, and you know, my background's in agriculture. And so for that kind of event to happen where we get urban school kids coming out and understanding a little bit about where their food comes from, the amount of business that goes into what you folks execute on is an exceptional and much needed educational experience for these urban kids. We also just want to express that event does wonders for our local economy. I will tell you that restaurants stop me, especially the ones that serve steak. They stop and always say they noticed the uptick last year and incredibly pleased to see it come back, and not just come back to pre-pandemic levels, but far surpass them. They felt it, and they were really grateful. And I would hope that the attendees feel the hospitality from our local businesses in terms of showing their appreciation. I just want to thank all of you in the room and those tuning in online. I know that the amount of work you folks put in and the amount of volunteers that you've been able to attract, not just for 1 or 2 years, frankly, in some cases, decades. I think it's a massive testament to the love that people have for your show. And I do want to say thanks to the sponsor. I know the signs were out front in terms of your platinum and your gold sponsors. And again, I think just even the sheer volume and depth of those sponsorships that come your way tell you how important everyone thinks you are. So on behalf of a very grateful city and grateful to all of you for your volunteer time, your expertise, and your leadership in executing on your show. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful AGM, and I very much look forward to what goes on this fall in November. Who knows? I might even attend the golf tournament if Sean can talk me into it, so thanks very much.
Good morning, everybody in the room and everybody online. It's an honor to be up here again. I know me and Kim come with a little bit of a different voice and volume, so if it actually does get a little bit too loud, somebody please let me know. I tend to get a little bit passionate up here when we start talking about the organization. I'm going to take on a bit of a roadmap, kind of where we were, where we are, where we're going, as I think it's very exciting. Again, as the mayor even alluded to, there's a lot of exciting things that we're doing, and I'm excited to talk about those. So where we were, again, I just wanted to bring this up, is it's, as I was reflecting in this presentation, it's different to look back at that as when again, my first show was the show after this. Again, everybody's got a mask on, but a lot has changed since these pictures were taken. Again, the way that we recruit staff has changed. The costs that it takes to put on a show have changed. Recruitment of staff has changed. And that's something that we have felt is, again, during the pandemic, people got a lot of time to sit at home and to think whether they like their jobs or whether maybe that's the change that they wanted to have, or they want to start something new, or you got to spend more time at home with your family, and those are different things that you're wanting to do. We felt that we had a little bit of turnover this year, which again is to be expected. Again, I've never navigated through a pandemic before, but again, the team and Chris and again, the board, I think you guys did a great job at getting us to a foundation of where we can take over and again, so I want to talk about where we are right now. Being an events person, I'm quite excited. I truly believe Agribition's in a great spot. I was fortunate enough to be given a strategic plan once I was hired. Again, with any new change in leadership, you're going to have a little bit of a turnover in staff. We have a new team. We've got a new structure that we're going to talk on a little bit later. But the team that we have that helps put on this organization is second to none. Each and every one of them put the show above themselves. And it's very exciting, again, coming into work and seeing the ideas that are coming and, again, where this show is going off. The team's bought into the vision. They see where we're going and they all want to be a part of it. Last AGM, we said that we're going to aim for revenue growth. We said that we're going to do the Canadian Animal Ag Tech Awards. We're going to do a Miss Rodeo Agribition contest. We want a little bit of international growth. And I remember standing up here saying, holy smokes, that's a lot. Well, that was just the tip of the iceberg of what we actually touched on last year. So we launched 5 new initiatives last year. Again, we crowned a Miss Rodeo Agribition. We did the Canadian Animal Ag Tech Awards. Again, when you do new events, you don't know how those are going to be. So once we opened the Canadian Animal Ag Tech Awards, we actually had 3 countries represented, again, Canada being one of them, but we actually had delegates come from UK and Scotland to come and compete in this, again, which is a testament to what everybody in this room has built with Canadian Western Agribition. They know of the show, and they know what it means to win an award at this show. We brought in freestyle bullfighting with the group of bullfighters only. It was a bit touch and go. As you talk about urban folks, you never know what freestyle bullfighting means. So we had questions of whether we were going to spear a bull in the middle of the Brant Center, which again, I think people have quickly seen that wasn't it, but it was a quite exciting event. We've had a lot of people already reaching out to whether that's coming back. So that is going to be coming back. But again, I think that was high energy. I think it brought a lot even to the rodeo as well. The golf tournament. There's a lot of golf tournaments in the world. We were lucky. Again, Agribition's got a lot of support, which we're proud of. In year 1, we sold out, and we've already got people phoning, waiting, and wanting to play already this year. So again, I know Sandra wants me to convince her, but if anybody wants to play with her now, she's accepting foursomes, so just let us know. And this one was actually very cool. We went in to have a conversation with our partners at Sask Milk about things we could do different. They wanted to get younger, and they wanted to do something different. The ideas were floating around from everything from private jets to Toronto to a lot of other things, I guess. But what we ended up on is we opened it up and did a Taylor Swift contest where we did a contest where we could send somebody to Australia. Ironically enough, we had 1,400 people that put their name in, video submissions, lots that brought tears to your eyes. In this, the selection committee narrowed it down to 6. In the 6, we picked a lady named Ruth, a young woman. Everyone has a Spotify wrap-up, or if you don't have a Spotify wrap-up in this room, it tells you how many minutes you've listened to a singer. When we asked this lady how much her Spotify wrap-up was for Taylor Swift, and only Taylor Swift, she had 56,000 minutes of Taylor Swift. So if you haven't seen the video, again, not to push you to our socials, I'd love if you could take a watch for it, as it's I'm not a real emotional guy, and it brings a tear to your eye. She said, in shorter words, it saved her. The music, the trip, it's a great watch. In terms of growing revenue, for a second consecutive year, we've got record revenue at $4.86 million. We've got a second consecutive year of record sponsorship at over $1.3 million, a second consecutive year of record rodeo attendance. So when you look at coming out of a pandemic and of looking at what the state that Canadian Western Agribition is in, it's in a good state and we're trending upwards. You know, even our admission dollars rose by 21%. Like, these are big numbers that people are happy with 5, 10, 15%, and we're hitting over 20, which is exciting. We truly returned back to those true pandemic levels of 142,000 people. Again, up 17.7 from 2019, which is also a very big number. We brought live music back, which is always missed. Anytime you watch an Agribition documentary, you talk to people about Agribition, the first thing they talk about is the live music and the camaraderie and the fun that they're having. So something we're proud of, again, continuing to trend in the right way. This next slide, I'm assuming you've heard me say it a lot of times. I tried to figure out what to put on the slide. I didn't know what to put, so I'm just going to talk about the word as we say it all the time. And we're not going to stop. I hope that the passion that I have for this event resonates with each and every one of you. It's something we instill in every single one of our staff members. Again, nobody's greater than the show. Again, we need to do whatever it takes to put the show on. But as we talk about momentum, everything that we put into place with the organization, whether that be a golf tournament or a Canadian Animal Ag Tech Awards or whatever that may be, we want to build on that. We want to make it bigger and better. So when people ask us what's new this year, what are we going to do? We're going to get better at the things that we do right now. Instead of continually adding new and new and new and doing them 80%, we want to take the ones that we're doing right now and make them 100%. As we talk about this brand, I've been fortunate to do a lot of travel this year, both personal and for work. But this past year, we were at the NFR on personal, took my wife for her birthday. But we ended up at the Bellagio at a cattle sale. How, I'm not 100% sure. But with a testament to the brand, the gentleman that was hosting the auction gave a shout, recognized the Agribition logo, gave a shout out that Agribition was in attendance, which is just something that being CEO of an organization that you have a lot of pride in, that people recognize that brand and want to give it some love. We were at a watch party at the NFR, and I forget which casino it was. The clown that we had that is going to be coming to the show this year was up on stage again, recognized some Agribition logos and gave us a shout out in front of a watch party in Las Vegas. So these are just very cool things that are happening. We're really trying to build on all of it, and we're very excited. As you're going to see from some more upcoming slides, there's a lot that we're continuing to build on for momentum and just a lot of new things. Using this slide, this is actually a backdrop in Guadalajara, Mexico. Again, you've got Saskatchewan represented and you've got Agribition represented, which is just very cool. The show organizer in that event, Rafa Ramirez, is a big Agribition supporter. So as we got back in that show, we actually signed an MOU with that organization to help them grow that show, help it become a little bit more Agribition, as a lot of the elements that they've taken into their show come from Agribition. So again, continually being proud of the brand that we have. There was videos that were played probably upwards of 100 times in Spanish, talking about the event, why you need to come to the event, and just people recognizing the brand, coming up and congratulating us on the MOU, wanting to come, wanting to travel, and wanting to know more. In this focus of where we're going, we're fighting for entertainment dollars. Again, we're not asking at times for small dollar amounts. Again, if someone's going to give us $100,000, what makes them give it to Agribition from November 25th to 30th when you can give it to the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, and again, one of Saskatchewan's largest brands, or the Regina Pats, or different organizations in the province. So in that, as expenses continue to rise, instead of us just continually trying to raise prices during the show on our exhibitors, again, we value that the livestock exhibitors are the backbone of Agribition. We want to continue to recognize that, as it's not cheap to be here at times, as again, you guys sacrifice a lot of time to be here. So we want to try and do different initiatives. That's where, again, the golf tournaments are coming in, and different things like that, different sponsorable assets that we can try and drive revenue for the organization. It also adds additional value to our partners. I know that Joel and his team, and even myself, we're trying to look at more strategic partners. How do we align with your brands? How do we come into your corporate objectives? we're not here to just have a donation. Is again, once people, again, budgets get cut at times, we want to be the organization that is left in those budgets as you move forward. So that's something we're quite excited about on. But in, again, the new team that we have, all of the emphasis with momentum, again, is still stopping and looking around and making sure that we've got processes in place to ensure that we, again, are fiscally responsible, but also looking to streamline our processes and our efficiencies. We've invested in our people. Again, I don't want it, again, there's a place for everybody, but we're looking at strategic places as something to be proud of as Agribition, is we've actually recruited people to come from government to work from Agribition, so I apologize to any government folks in the crowd, but it used to be the other way around when people would leave Agribition to go work for the government. So what we're doing really speaks volumes, and putting in just, again, different systems, getting more cloud-based, more operational, digital purchase orders. So just, again, ensuring that we can be fiscally responsible, making sure we know where our money's going. And I know that every single person in this room loves knowing if we made money. And that's, Chris Lee's asked me every year, is it red or black? Black. He goes, very well then, walks away. So it's something we're proud of. But again, using our team and an empowerment and structure, again, going to touch on it soon, but just letting people be able to make decisions, but equipping them with the equipment to be able to make those decisions. And risk mitigation. One thing I have seen, again, coming out of the pandemic and having a little bit of turnover as we've built the team that we have, is wanting to make sure that we have areas that are covered so that if something leaves or somebody gets a fantastic offer and they have to phase out, that we've got controls in place to make sure the business continues to cycle and that we're not scrambling per se. But lastly, one thing that I've talked to a lot of people about is moving forward, the goal is to create more stability. Again, I've been an events guy. I came out, again, shot out of a can, and we did a lot of stuff. So now, again, going back to it, let's get very, very good at the stuff that we've implemented. Again, people, stability in our people. We've reviewed our benefits for our staff and really taken care of our house so that our house can take care of our partners and our exhibitors. This is just more of what I was talking about. As we talk about some strategic partners, though, this is some things that we're excited about. Again, you know that Jessie used to work for us. She's my wife. She now works for the Riders. They wanted to do a country night. In that country night, they said, what can we do that's country? She said, well, why don't you call Agribition and do mutton busting? Fast forward a couple months, the one sheep that is pictured in the middle ended up on the CFL Plays of the Year. Again, so super cool. We were actually just recently in Saskatoon a couple weeks ago where we did mutton busting with the Saskatchewan Rush. Again, promoting our event to different demographics, different folks to try and grow the show that way. It's ironic enough is I think this room will appreciate the first question that they asked us is, are the sheep gonna poop on the field? And we said, absolutely they were. So I think we shocked a little bit of the SaskTel Center crowd with, again, pellets all over the field, brooms and rakes, and so it was really cool to see. Also in the bottom left here, we have done a deal with Indian Head Chrysler for a brand new vehicle. That's, again, it's got our show dates, it's got a QR code in the back that takes you to our website. It's got our brand. As we're going to meetings or as we're traveling to different areas around the province, again, it's more brand recognition, just having the event in front of people's eyes. Because again, what we hear the most is, I think Agribition's coming up, isn't it? And we're trying to really stop that. Being a $96.5 million economic impact event in the province, you should know when it is, and you shouldn't be able to forget when that's happening. So we're trying to be in your face a little bit more, tell you our story, get people excited. There's gonna be big trucks, the restaurants are gonna be full, there's gonna be long lineups, but that's good for the city and it's good for the province, and we're just trying to tell our story a little bit. As we talk a little bit more about Mexico, again, here's some more branding, where the Canadian Western Agribition logo is in the arena, cycled through the score clock along with a video that was played. As we talk, I'm gonna try and join the two presentations. I'm gonna also talk a little bit on the Scholarship Foundation one a little bit later on, but I'm gonna combine that one into this one. Is with Agribition, what we're trying to do is leave a legacy. We wanna be an industry leader. There's a lot that we can do with that, again, from partnerships and golf tournaments, which is great. They're fun, but with us, what we're really trying to do is leave a legacy that we can be proud of. We want to be a larger role model in the community. Again, we want to be a champion for youth. We want to be a champion for education. We want to be a champion for education. So again, what you're going to find out here is we have transitioned the scholarship fund. Again, legality-wise, I believe we have to go through that the next AGM. But we are going to unveil the Canadian Western the Agribition Community Foundation. It allows us now to champion some more fundraising initiatives, but it allows us to give back in other ways along with scholarships, but allows us to invest in different things like whether that be Saskatchewan 4-H or education programs or different community programs that are happening in our cities and in our province, whether that even be the food bank. Again, there's people that are going hungry, and again, people, we always say they need to know where their food comes from. It just allows us a different platform to be able to do some different things to continue to be a champion in our community. And with that, though, with everything that we've done, I know that I get the airtime and I get my face all over it. We can't do it without a team, though. But again, before I get into all of our fantastic team, again, for any crew that are in the room or that are online, or spouses of crew or whatnot, again, we want to thank you as you're a big part of this team. Again, Sylvia, you've done a lot for us in this last transition part. And there's a lot of people that help us in this room, whether it be a National Volunteer Week. We can't do the show what we do, whether we have the best staff in the world, without our volunteers. You know, we're a volunteer board as well, and we're over 300 volunteers, closer to 4. And that's something to be proud of. So again, as I give our team some love, I also want to give our volunteers some love. Is again, we can't do it. And again, that's one thing that we hear the most of is what makes you guys so successful. And again, it's the people that make it successful. You guys in the room, volunteers, crew, it's every one of you put the show above yourself, so it's appreciated. I'll start off with Kristen Suker. She's our new Director of Business Development. We've got some new titles. We're going to touch on those here shortly. Kristen's right here. Give her a wave. Joel Pickering, I'm not sure if he's here or tied up. He's out. Shauna Fuchs is still on probation for another 2 weeks, but she's come back to help us transition our livestock team, help coach Kylie a little bit. As again, with the utmost of respect, we know that the livestock portfolio of our business is very important. So again, we wanted to bring her back. Again, there's a lot of knowledge in that head of hers. So again, we want to thank her for coming back. Carrie Hackle, in our trade show and entertainment manager, does all of our music, trade show, food and beverage. Melissa Haysom, Fuchs, sorry, that's my bad. That's from last year's. She's on our business development team. Brianna Franklin's down here, who's our brand new marketing manager. Shaylin Haylock is down here, who helped again with all of the AGM stuff. She's our office admin coordinator. She also does all of our mentorship program. Sherry Germain at the back is our finance manager. And Kylie Beck is, assuming all of you know her, but she's trying to take the reins from Shauna. So here's the new org chart that we do have. Again, what we can using risk mitigation, succession planning, but what we also want to be able to have is career progression. So again, there's no order in on except for the top 3. There's no order for underneath, but say that Joel leaves, we want to be able to promote from within. We want people to have something to be able to work for instead of just a horizontal org chart where once there's no opportunity to get to the top per se or advance your career. So that's something that we're really trying to put a larger focus on. But in our core values, what we are talking about is leadership is one of them. So we also want to try and create future leaders. With that said, again, our current board of directors, I want to thank each and every one of you. I know that you've all stood up already. I know that, again, I can be a little intense and have a lot of crazy ideas and run and gun, but every one of you have had my back, and I really appreciate that. Secondly, I want to thank Kim for an amazing 2 years of leadership during her presidency. She's been an absolute true professional, and we've been side by side since I started, and she's been the best president that I've ever worked with at Canadian Western Agribition. To all the outgoing directors, again, thank you all very much for everything, and thank you to all, good luck to all the nominees. I'm excited to work with the 2024-25 board. One more quote, because why wouldn't we? Last year, again, we saw 19% growth from 2022. And again, we don't want that narrative to be that we shrank in this next coming year. So everything we're doing, again, we want to continue to go. We don't want to take it for granted and say last year We had a fantastic year. We had 142,000 people. It's fantastic. But we don't want to lose sight of what's moving forward. Again, you're only as good as your last show, so we want to continue to evolve. We want to continue to put the gas down. And again, we're just getting started. This team's excited. I'm excited. Again, judging by the elections that we have today, we've got 12 board members vying for 7 spots. People want to be a part of Canadian Western Agribition. And again, we're excited for the upcoming show. We're 221 days out, but again, it's a true honor to be able to be up here and be the CEO of this organization with so much history. I want to thank all of you guys for all of your support. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. I think that passion came through, and that's exactly what Agribition is about, is the passion. I would like to make a first call for resolutions, and a reminder, if you have resolutions, please take them to Michael Latimer, and Michael is up at the front. We'll now move on to our audited financial statements, and I'd like to call on Christy DePaula to present those for us.
Good afternoon. I know my voice is loud, so feel free to turn it down. I am here to represent MNP. So MNP is the external auditor for Canadian Western Agribition. If you look in your AGM package on page 33, that's where your financial statements will start. I'm going to do a quick high-level overview. If there are questions, by all means, go ahead and ask, and I'll do my best to answer those. Just a quick highlight on page 33, you've got your management responsibility. So this highlights to the users that the financial statements are indeed management's responsibility. That includes the preparation of the day-to-day accounting, preparation of the financial statements, selecting the relevant accounting policies, judgments, and estimates that go into preparing the statements, as well as ensuring there's appropriate controls in place to safeguard the financial assets of the organization. The board and the audit committee, their responsibility is that of oversight, ensuring that they are meeting regularly with management, looking at those budget to actuals and recommending some change course on an as-needed basis, and having that high-level understanding and comfort of the control environment. And then finally, MNP, as the external auditors, our responsibility is to provide an audit opinion as to whether or not the financial statements as prepared by management are fairly stated in all material respects in accordance with your accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. The next couple pages is our independent auditor's report. So the first section is your opinion paragraph, and that's where people kind of focus in on it's a clean, unmodified, or unqualified audit opinion. So flipping a couple pages, really what everyone's interested in would be your face of the financial statements. The first statement being your statement of financial position. So this is a snapshot of where the association is at the end of business on January 31st, 2024. And then of course you've got your 2023 comparative figures. When you look at your total assets are up about $254,000. So not a huge swing when you're looking at the magnitude of the numbers, but when you look at line by line, there are some fluctuations from year to year. The short-term investments have gone up a fair amount compared to last year, and that's just management investing surplus cash into the investment portfolio to enable them to achieve a return on investment and help with the cash flows and future funding. Accounts receivable is also up about $300,000 compared to last year. That's really just timing of when management is able to follow up and collect on those outstanding receivables. Majority of those do relate to that 2023 show, and since year-end, the bulk of those receivables have been collected. The other significant fluctuation you're going to see is on that cash balance. So on the asset side, it's zero. You are seeing that bank deficit of $236 on the liability side. The big piece of that is just timing. So as your receivables fluctuate, as the association adds to the investment portfolio, you are going to see fluctuations in that cash balance. And really, it is a result of increased receivables, which diminishes your cash balance until those amounts are collected, and then that investment portfolio. On the liabilities side, liabilities are also up just under $300,000 compared to last year. Where you're seeing the biggest increase is on that bank deficit. So that's largely made up of your outstanding checks, so timing differences until some of that cash can come into the door. And your accounts payable is up just ever so slightly, about $60,000. And again, bulk of that is timing when those vendor invoices can get paid before year end. A good chunk of that increase does relate to the PST return that was filed and paid just shortly after year end. And then finally, your long-term debt. You'll recall in 2023 fiscal year, that was still that $40,000 CEBA loan that was outstanding. Many people in the room will understand that that balance was due mid-January of 2024 to ensure that the association was eligible for the $20,000 loan forgiveness. So if you flip to the next page of your statement of operations, so this is your income statement summarizing the revenues generated and the expenses incurred by the association. And again, your 2023 comparative figures. Overall revenue is up $190,000. I don't think there's much of a surprise here. Sponsorship is up about $128,000. Again, adding events to the show does add sponsorship opportunities. You're also seeing an increase in your show revenue. It's up about almost $200,000. Again, increased ticket prices and adding new events allows that revenue line item to increase as well. Partially offsetting those increases, a slight decrease in the grant revenue. So there was one grant that wasn't applied for in 2024 that will be applied for in 2025, making up about $45,000 of that. And then there was the mentorship grant that's recorded on that line item. So in 2023, $100,000 was received and the full amount was spent, so you could recognize that on the revenue line item in 23. Whereas 24, $75,000 was received, but only $28,000 of that was spent. So $28,000 is recognized into revenue, with the remaining amounts sitting in deferred revenue to be recognized in 2025. On the expense side, overall, you've got an increase of $195,000. The only area that you're really seeing a significant increase is on that first line, direct labor and benefits. You recall in 2023, the association did go a number of months without that CEO position being filled. So 2024 fiscal year does capture that full 12-month of a CEO's salary in there, as well as you've got some incremental salary increases, as well as some staffing turnover, which will increase that line item. The remaining lines, you are seeing some fluctuation. For the most part, they are going up slightly. That's going to be the result of, again, adding some events to the show, as well as your inflationary pressures that people are seeing across the board. So your operating profit is just under $75,000 in 24 compared to $78,000 in 23. Below that, you see kind of those non-recurring or non-cash transactions. So that's meant to capture really those non-recurring. You can't really budget for them or forecast for them, but they do happen. You have to reflect them in the statements, as well as the amortization expense. So when the association purchases the assets are good for a number of years. So you can't expense those assets in year one. You're going to expense them over their estimated useful lives. So as you see that amortization expense creep up, that's a result of adding new assets that the association has invested, being amortized over its useful lives. So once all is said and done, you've got a net operating loss of $30,000 in 24, compared to a profit of $83,000 in 2023. So that's a quick-ish summary of the financial statements. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Excellent.
Thank you, Christy, and thank you to your team as well. Could we have a motion to approve the auditor's report? Grant, seconder for that motion. Garth, all in favor or in favor? And will those online please open their link to vote for this motion? Voting is completed and the motion is carried. We'd now like to make an appointment for our auditors for the 24-25 year. And could I have a motion to name MNP LLP as the auditors for the upcoming year? Thank you, Curtis Kahinka. Seconder, Marty Cradaville. In favor? And we wait. As we wait for those results, I would like to make the second call for resolutions. Voting online is complete and the motion has passed. So we'll now take a break of 15 minutes and we're going to have some director speeches coming up for those who have been nominated for our board for the coming year. So we have a dozen people running for 7 elector positions this year. Now I got to catch Michael's eye because I need him to come up right away.
Just throw it at him.
Yeah, that would look really professional. Get started. I'm just going to call Michael Latimer up here for a minute. Do you want to tap Michael? Michael, can I have you come up?
Okay, I will ask for the third and final call for resolutions. I didn't receive any in the first two calls. Do we have any resolutions that anyone would like to bring forward? Okay, seeing none, we have no resolutions.
Thank you, Michael. We'll now move into the election of directors. So we have 7 seats open for the 24-25 year, and we have received 12 nominations for those 7 seats. So we'll have an election. Now, we have verified that all nominations are members in good standing, were received on time, and were nominated by members in good standing. So those nominated for election are as follows, and they are on the screen behind me. Kelsey Ashworth, Cynthia Beck, Jody Ellefson, Dr. Christine Ewart-Hill, Levi Jackson, Glenn Lipsett, Eric Martins, Kim McLean, Garth Newell, Mona Taylor, Bryce Thompson, and Teresa Walker. So as we work through this, each person has the opportunity to come up and speak for up to 3 minutes. And I'm going to ask that if you can come up and have a couple of you at least standing here ready to come up. This is going to take us a little bit of time, but if you're standing in queue, then things will move along a little bit more quickly. Kristen is going to have a timer, and I think she's going to give it 1 tap when you have 15 seconds remaining and 2 taps when your 3 minutes have completed. So the first person I will call up is Kelsey Ashworth. Kelsey was nominated by Ali Pike.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelsey Ashworth, and I'm grateful to be here once again running for a director. With my husband Kyle and 2 daughters, I live near Unger, Saskatchewan. Along with Kyle's parents, we have a grain and purebred Simmental operation. I work for BASF as a seed and ag chemical company as a campaign sales manager. I have been a director since 2018 and an executive member at large since 2022. When my term was up for re-election, I did consider stepping away due to life's other commitments. But after some consideration, it became clear. Agribition is a hard place to leave. There's something about walking through the doors, the sounds, the people, and of course, even that smell, and I know everyone in this room can share that same feeling. It would be an honor to once again be involved at this level. My experience with Agribition is primarily in the cattle barns. However, since becoming the chair of Grain Expo, I have spent more time on the east side of the grounds. In 3 years as chair of that 2-day event, attendance has grown to almost 800 registered guests, retention of sponsors year after year has increased, and satisfaction ratings of attendance has improved. In my time as a director, I have experienced the many pieces that make up Agribition. We can all agree that livestock, especially cattle, are the core of our show. However, I do believe that the rest of what the show offers should not be disregarded. After all, that is what makes CWA unique. I have realized that Agribition means something different to everyone, and we all love it for our own special reason. Preserving the legacy of CWA is vital, but as is welcoming change and new ideas. Finding that balance will ensure that we remain the best place for entertaining, educating, and promoting the agriculture industry. By leaning on my experience and using my determined attitude, I feel I can provide positive contributions to the upcoming board. I do appreciate your consideration in today's election. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. I would like to call on Cynthia Beck. Cynthia was nominated by Levi Jackson.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Beck. My husband and I, Wade Beck, own and operate a mixed cattle and grain operation in partnership with Wade's family, and we farm at Milestone, Saskatchewan, which is south of the city. In addition to farming, I'm also a registered clinical psychologist. I work for the Provincial Health Authority, and I provide specialized mental health services in addition to psychological assessment services, and I cover basically the southeast corner of the province. I also do a lot of advocacy for mental health in agriculture. And what that involves is I've done presentations, resource and program development for breed associations, provincial government to federal government, in addition to international affairs, so that we can help producers with improving mental health, as well as helping agencies to support producers in what they're doing. Prior to becoming a clinical psychologist, I worked in the agriculture industry for a few years, and before that I worked in the media, predominantly in television, with my remaining years in print, for a total career of 20 years in agriculture. I'm grateful to be nominated for potential election to the board of directors because Agribition has a special place in my heart. My father exhibited a bred heifer at the very first Canadian Western Agribition when he worked for Chris Suter. I was here as a teenager showing cattle with my dad, and a few short years later, my husband and I exhibit cattle here, and now our children have been exhibiting cattle here for the last 3 years. And as I look out over the room, I know that our family's story is not unique in having multiple generations be part of Canadian Western Agribition. And it's been fantastic watching the evolution of Agribition over the last 50 years. And I just dated myself. I'm grateful for this opportunity to be nominated because I believe that I bring a skill set that could aid in the momentum of Agribition for developing and growing even further. So with being a clinical psychologist, I have to know what makes people tick. Not only do I have to know what makes people tick, I have to help them identify that and adapt it or grow in order to tick in a way that's more beneficial for themselves. And I'm hoping that I can help that, bring that piece so that we can bridge the gap between the producer and the consumer. I think that Agribition plays an integral role in bridging that gap so that we can minimize the misconceptions about agriculture that are out there in social media, as well as bringing more perspective to the individual consumer. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. We now have Jody Ellefson, who was nominated by Shannon McCartan, and we have a video to play. Jody wasn't able to be here today, and it will play up here on the screen.
Good afternoon, directors, members, and guests. I apologize for not being able to join you in person today. I would like to send a big thank you to Shannon McCartan for the nomination. My name is Jody Ellefson. I operate a mixed farm with my husband and 2 amazing children just outside Foam Lake. We have a small herd of commercial red Angus cows, I show horses in a couple of different disciplines, mostly ranch versatility. We custom graze around 100 head of yearlings during the season, as well as grain farm about 1,500 acres. I was raised in a family of horse trainers, a cattle rancher, and a grain farmer, which really ingrained in me working hard and instilled a passion for lifelong learning and ignited my love of agriculture. Off the farm, I work full-time as a corporate advisor with Saskatchewan Crop Insurance, which incorporates two of my favorite things, talking about farming and livestock with the producers of our great province. I am truly blessed to be living and working in the agriculture sector. I volunteered for Agribition the first time in 1989. It's really hard for me to believe that was 35 years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. It started with the grand entry at the rodeo. Several years of running around in the dark on horses with just glow sticks. Grew into head go fetcher at the ranch horse competition and runner at the sale, then into showing heifers with my dad at the commercial cattle show and sale, and then from there organizing the team cattle penning competition. After 16 consecutive Agribitions, I took a short hiatus to bring two amazing souls into the world, and then I was back volunteering at the goat show and sale, at the family pavilion with Agriculture in the Classroom and Guardians of the Grassland. I volunteer at as many Agriculture in the Classroom events as possible. There's a story to be told about where our food comes from, and inspiring kids to learn about their food and about farming in Saskatchewan really drives me every day. Agribition is a huge part of that story, and Agribition has really helped form my story. Being a part of Agribition has taught me so many life lessons. It has been really instrumental in fueling my passion for all things agriculture and has really influenced who I am today. I would be truly honored to be elected to the board of directors so that I can give back some of what this great organization has given to me over the years. And I would do that by serving you, the membership, and of course the exhibitors. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Jody. Our next nominee is Dr. Christine Ewart-Hill, and Christine was nominated by Chris Lees.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Christine Ewart-Hill. I'm a veterinarian, and my husband and I have a purebred shorthorn operation, and we show those cattle at Agribition. My previous board experience includes sitting with the Saskatchewan Horse Federation and most recently with the Southeast Medical Group, where I did doctor recruitment, nurse recruitment, and met directly with the Premier's office and the Ministers of Health to discuss solutions for healthcare in our area. My passion for Agribition is twofold. Growing up in the southeast corner, I loved listening to the stories from the Chris Lees family and the Suitors and those founding families about how they used to load up their show cattle on train cars, jump in those box cars with them, and head off to the Toronto Royal. But they were away from their farms for up to 2 or 3 weeks. They saw a need for that in Western Canada. They put their ingenuity into place, and now their vision has come to a full form where it has a life of its own. I think that's just fascinating. My second reason I'm so passionate about Agribition is because it's a deep-seated family tradition for me. I grew up in a rodeo family, and I remember my dad in the wild cow milking, and when I was in kindergarten, I remember him in the ostrich races. I also fondly remember the 8-horse hitch that Bill Ollie would have. I remember my first time being here as an exhibitor in the old stadium barrel racing. I remember the ruckus laughter and smoke coming out of the swamp. My sister and I got to do some singing for the cowboy poetry stuff over in the Queensbury Center, and I got to rope with my dad and my cousin back in the day. So what can I offer the board? I think that variety of experience as a participant means that I could be shifted wherever I'm needed, and I also really enjoy troubleshooting and trying to create a better experience for both exhibitors and attendees. The other thing that I have a special interest in is really fortifying those international relations so that Agribition can become an even bigger international marketplace. I love seeking out opportunities for collaboration and then coming up with strategic systems so that we can make those relationships more turnkey. So in summary, My favorite memory of Agribition was when my kids and my niece and my nephew decided they were going to go in the 4-H grooming. And I remember looking up in the stands and seeing their grandpa with his Stetson on, smiling from ear to ear. And we realized that our family's tradition had just entered its 3rd generation. And that's why I want to be a director. I want to see Agribition go forward for my kids and grandkids. I want it to go forward with strength and vitality. And I still want to remember its foundation and its core traditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Now we'll have Levi Jackson, and Levi was nominated by Kelsey Ashworth.
My name's Levi Jackson, for those that don't know me. First of all, thank you to Kelsey for nominating me, and it's certainly been my pleasure to have nominated Cynthia. Just outstanding people, both of them. Kelsey's been an absolutely amazing board member, and I sure hope you look on that favorably, and everything that Cynthia can bring to the board as well just would be a terrific asset. So I started with Agribition in '73, and that was the first show that I came to. I came as a fitter, I came as somebody working for other people, and ended up working into handling our own cattle. And I've been a 35-year volunteer, and that's been a consecutive years. And I like to think that I've been a very hands-on volunteer. Anytime the board or the committees or anybody has needed anything done that requires animals to be brought for a function or anything like that, it's always me they call, and I'm always more than happy to oblige and do that. My wife came to Agribition when she, in the early years with fat steers and prospect steers. My daughter Dakota has shown here on our Angus cattle from the time she was little and was involved in the Junior Beef Extreme and helping to ring that show. Our son Chance showed prospects and helped us with our cattle as well. He also showed commercial sheep. And now he has his own string of purebred Black Angus cattle. So it definitely is a family affair for us. I've been on the board for 8 years and on the executive for 5. So I'm very much a hands-on person. I have sat on basically every committee that's been beef cattle related, and I've chaired probably most of them as well. I don't generally talk about the things that I've done like that. I'm more interested in what's happening today and what we can do for tomorrow to make things better. Agribition's a nonprofit, and sometimes we forget that. It survives year to year on volunteers. And when you look at the people that are here today, I would have to say all but maybe 1 or 2 are either current volunteers or were volunteers at one time or another. And that's what makes Agribition go round and round. It's what keeps it all together. So I'm getting a little buzzer, so I better carry on. I didn't have any goals in mind other than I'd like to give back to Agribition 10 years. This is the end of year 8. If you would let me have a couple more years with it, folks, that'd be great, and I'd be very appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Levi. I'd like to call on Glenn Lipsett. Glenn has been nominated by Bruce Holmquist.
Hello, everyone. And for those that don't know me, I'm Glenn Lipsett. For those that have been around here for 50 years or more will probably remember me as the kid, the 15-year-old kid, packing hay and straw and delivering feed into the barns, which we did, me and my family, for the next 20 years. So my history with CWA goes a long ways. I've been a volunteer now for 46 years, and I'm very proud of being that volunteer. I've got a lot of respect for the cattle industry, the barns, just everybody involved in Agribition. It's been a great aspect of my life. It's been a part of my life for a very, very long time. I've been a competitor here. I rodeoed for many years. I've rode here. I've competed here. I then went on to be a judge. I've officiated here, and I'm very proud of all of those things that I've done. As far as being on a board of directors, I was a long-term director on the CCA board and a two-time past president too. So those are other things that I'm very proud of. I guess the biggest attribute to my life has been I took over the family business in '84, and at that time it was 3 trucks. Today I'm at 50 trucks, 120 trailers, and 65 employees, and I'm very proud, very, very proud of where we've gone with that. I've seen lots of changes to Agribition over the years, and I believe most of them have been good, and I think the volunteers have been a big part of that. And I just think maybe I have some knowledge and expertise that I could help. So that's why I'm asking for your support. I'd love to be able to be with CWA to move it forward while maintaining the Western heritage. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. I'd like to call on Eric Martins. Eric was nominated by Kelly Howe.
Thank you, Kim. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. With my wife, Rebecca, and our 3 kids, who are 14, 11, and 8, we operate what is currently a 2,500-acre grain farm east of Strasbourg. I've been part of Canadian Western Agribition team in a few different ways. I've held the barn boss position since 2019. I was also a beef breed rep, and I currently sit on the Junior Beef Extreme Committee. I'm also a past graduate of Agribition's Next Gen program. This is a great program through which I've learned about successful policy types. We took governance training, and I received extensive opportunities with networking. I would encourage any young individual looking for an opportunity to grow and thrive to apply for that program. In this, I also enjoyed those governance training meetings that maybe not everybody thought was exciting. I like working in governance-directed environments. I've sat on numerous boards and volunteered with 4-H for most of my adult life. Rebecca and I are currently the general leaders of the Sarath Multiple Club. I also sit as a director on the Bullier Co-op board. A brief background about Rebecca and I. We started a 200-head cow-calf operation in the early BSE days. Finding efficiencies where we could, we kept the bills paid and stayed married. But life has its unexpected turns, and in the fall of '23, we bought and moved to the grain farm that we'd been renting. With limited facilities, the kids brought their 4-H animals and junior projects, but our commercial and purebred cattle were dispersed. I love Agribition. Agribition means something different for everyone, whether it's annually participating with your best livestock, seeing and reconnecting with familiar faces, or hunkering down for a few days and taking in all the festivities it has to offer. Agribition is a unique, family-friendly environment that I would like to see flourish for the decades to come. I believe I can be part of this and contribute a passionate, positive, and trustworthy outlook, with some of my greatest strengths being loyalty, accountability, and taking ownership of difficult problems to achieve success. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I'd like to call on Kim McLean. Kim was nominated by Garth Newell.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim McLean. If you don't know me, my husband Ty and stepdaughter Penelope and I live here in Regina. During the week, I work for the provincial government at the Ministry of Agriculture as the general manager of the Farmland Security Board and director of the Board Governance and Operations Unit. I work for the ministry and SCIC in some form or another since 2011. I grew up on a purebred Angus operation known as DM Angus near Arcola and Carlisle. Growing up, I was a member of the Arcola Kisbee 4-H Beef Club and participated in junior Angus events. I've been a board member with Saskatchewan Angus Association since 2019, and I'm currently the second vice president. My love of Angus cattle and agriculture led me to the U of S, where I obtained my bachelor's in animal science and a PhD in animal genetics. From there, I began a career in agriculture where I formed a very strong network of industry leaders who I am proud to call friends. My experience as a producer and a professional in this industry will certainly be an asset to the board. Agribition has been a huge part of my life, literally since the day I was born. Whether this has been as a previous board member in 21 and 23, or working as part of a show string in the cattle barns, competing or volunteering for the international judging competition, or helping host international delegations. No matter the ask, I've always helped out when and wherever I could. In my leadership role at my day job, I fully understand the importance of strategic direction for an organization like Agribition. This is why I was such an active participant during the 22 strategic review. A few things that really resonated going through that process was Agribition is a show that we should be proud of, one that has lasted, but also needs to adapt and improve for the longevity of the show. If elected, I would look forward to implementing these goals to see the show maintain the world-class status so many of you have worked to achieve. In my previous term as a board member, I had the opportunity to chair the Junior Beef and Jackpot committees, as well as help coordinate the Career Expo. Youth in agriculture has always been a focus for me throughout my career, and these roles were a great fit for me. I would like to see Agribition continue to focus on ensuring show longevity with a strong focus on junior and educational programming. I'm known for being a committed board member, one who pays attention to the small details, but doesn't forget the big picture. By voting for me today, you can be sure I will bring forward a sense of enthusiasm for a strong, professional organization committed to advancing the show. Agribition is not only important to agriculture and Saskatchewan, but also the city I call home. I would welcome the opportunity to serve on this board again. Thank you for your consideration and support.
Thank you, Kim. I'll now call on Garth Newell. Garth was nominated by Kim McLean.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd first like to thank Kim McLean for nominating me to run for the board again. It was my former president, Chris Lees, who had first approached me 4 years ago about running for the board, and he was looking for someone who's enjoyed agriculture, he's enjoyed Agribition, and that would help champion Agribition for future generations to come. I hope I haven't disappointed. Just a little about me. My wife and I have raised 4 wonderful children in the Carlisle area. We run a 100-head commercial cattle operation with the foundation starting in the purebred polled Hereford industry 25 to 30 years ago with my father, Reg Newell, starting the herd. That was where I first developed my love for Agribition, showing those cattle here and developing wonderful friendships from all around the world with people that I still am in touch with today. Since being on the board, I've chaired the 4-H judging, grooming, and showmanship competitions, along with the purebred, the Prospect Steer and Heifer Show. I was a former 4-H leader and would like to continue working on that in the future if so be it. Anyways, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Garth. We'll now have Mona Taylor. Mona was nominated by Bill Ollie.
Thanks, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone, and I'd first like to thank Bill Ollie for the nomination. As Kim said, my name is Mona Taylor, and I've been a volunteer with Agribition for over 34 years and proudly wear that red jacket every year. I was born and raised in Regina, Saskatchewan, and my experience with agriculture started with my grandfather's grain and cattle operation. I have been hanging around a farm for the last few years, but this week I took out a gate post with a harrow, so maybe that shows I don't know as much about farming as I thought. While I still have a lot to learn about farming, what I do know is international business. I set up the first international business center at Agribition back in 1989 and have been involved with it ever since. My career has been in international trade, and for the last 25 years, I've been working with Canadian agriculture and ag machinery companies in Western Canada. I know what the international buyer is looking for and what Canadian companies and producers want and have to sell. Agribition at one time had the slogan, "Where the world meets." We've lost some ground in international markets due to the pandemic, but I would like the opportunity as a board member to work towards getting back that market share. I've recently retired, and I have time to dedicate to the board and add value where I can in growing that bottom line. Thanks for the opportunity to share with you this afternoon, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Mona. Our next nominee is Bryce Thompson, and Bryce was nominated by Blake McMillan.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to congratulate Mona on her first gate post. We've all been there. Yeah, so Bryce Thompson, I grew up on a hog and grain operation south of Cardiff. My career, I've been an agronomist the first 10 years for Bayer and Richardson's, and then switched gears more to the financial side of the industry. I've managed farmland for people who own it but don't farm it themselves for the last 15 years, and at the same time taken on a lot of other projects where, you know, whether it's investments in greenhouses, mushroom farms, feedlots, that sort of thing. But always the common ground in those ventures has been trying to find people that are great to work with and find the common ground where everyone is working towards the same goal. And I think that's what I see in Agribition. Agribition is a fantastic event that has had the longevity that it's had because I think at the end of the day, everyone tries to come together and do what's best for the event and the organization. And you can tell, like, the people in this room, there's a lot of friendly faces who are here because they believe in the event. And you know, I think what's really special about Agribition is that over the last 20, 30 years, a lot of other events that used to have relevance to the industry they're in and also meant something to the community that they were part of have lost their way and have went more one way or the other. In a lot of cases, you know, they've tried to cater to the entertainment side and follow the money, and they've lost their relevance to the industry. And I think, to me, that's what Agribition has done so well and what we need to keep it on track doing. You know, we've got a lot of great tradition, and at the same time, we need to balance that with tweaking our events or bringing in new things that bring in new constituents and a younger demographic. You know, Sean laid out some great things that are happening, and you know, when he talked about Taylor Swift, Marty and Curtis leaned over and said, "Who is he?" But you know, I think we're on a great track, and I'd love to be able to be on the board again to serve those interests. So thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. And finally, Teresa Walker, and Teresa was nominated by Carl Sauter.
Thank you, Kim. I grew up in England and immigrated to Saskatchewan in 2002. I started my farming journey in 1988. I'm a first-generation farmer and was the first immigrant to come to farm in Saskatchewan through the Immigration Nominee Program. I came with my 2 daughters. We were proud to become Canadian citizens in 2007. When I was farming back in England, I became involved with the local NFU, and I have to tell you that the NFU in England is quite different from the Saskatchewan Canadian NFU. It's an amalgamation of all agricultural associations and industries, and almost all English farmers are members. I was chairman of our local branch and helped to rebuild agriculture in the eyes of the public after our BSE and foot and mouth disasters. I served on a national board that represented the interests of farmers with land in less favored areas. And in 1977, I was asked to be one of 5 young members whose mandate was to modernize the goals and objectives of our NFU and to encourage youth to become involved in agriculture and agribusiness. I'm a bit short for this. Currently, I run a 1,600-acre ranch in partnership with my daughter, just near Moosomin. We have a flock of 250 sheep and a herd of 185 or so Simmental cross cows. We've been showing sheep here at Agribition for 15 years, with our most recent success being just last year in 2023, when we were awarded Premier Breeder, Premier Exhibitor, and our Dorset ewe was Supreme Champion ewe. I've served as a councillor on the RM of Walpole and on the board of Verified Beef, our ranch being enrolled in both Verified Beef and Verified Sheep. I'm also the chair of the Lower Souris Watershed Committee. My training in management and cost accounting has enabled me to keep my farm profitable even in times of extreme market fluctuations due to weather, disease, exchange rate variations, and export market volatility. I think I bring 3 strengths to the board of Agribition. First, I'm happy to spend time in the sheep barns and represent this growing industry. Gone are the times of sheep being a backyard business. They are profitable and they're in demand. Second, I would love to spend time in the International Trade Center. I was there as a guest before coming to live in Canada, and it was a fabulous experience for my daughters and I to be shown around the barns and to learn about Canadian agriculture and Saskatchewan hospitality. Third, sadly, I am very familiar with disease outbreaks, having suffered through BSE and foot and mouth. Having my animals slaughtered to stamp out foot and mouth is a memory I don't talk about much. However, I do know about biosecurity, and I hope you will consider my nomination. And thank you, Carl, for nominating me.
Thank you, Teresa. I'll just run through the voting procedures in a minute. Before we do that, I would like to call for a motion to approve MNP LLP as our ballot counters for our election. Motion by Levi, seconded by Shannon McCartan. Those in favor? So while we're waiting for that vote to happen online, I'd like to mention that you need to select 7 names on the ballot to submit your vote. So 7 names. If you have written less than 7 names on your ballot, the ballot will be considered spoiled and will not be counted. So please be sure you vote for 7 people. And who is passing? I think I see Kylie and a few staff at the back. Shauna's got some, Sherry's got some ballots, so they'll be coming around to pass those out. I think you could start passing those out now. Yeah, if you just hold up your voter's card. And the motion for MNP to be our ballot counselor says passed. So we'll take a few minutes to get those ballots handed out and then collected. I don't have a voter's card, but I would like a ballot. It's up here? Do you have it on the table? Oh. These girls were well prepared. All right, thank you. Okay, so we can proceed with your ballots, and then raise your hands once you've completed your ballots. How are we doing? So we've had good engagement online. We have 33 people have submitted their votes. So we'll just let that finish up. And then Christy and her team can tally our votes for us. We're finished? Okay, our voting has been completed online. So as M&P does their ballot counting, I would like to ask for a motion. Oh, maybe I better wait on this one. I was going to destroy the ballots. We better not let them destroy them until they're made sure. While we're waiting on that, can we move on? Is there any other business that anyone would like to bring to the AGM? And we'll take questions from the floor. Do we have any questions from the floor? And can we move on to ratify the motions of the actions of the 23-24 Board of Directors? Could I have a motion to that effect? Dale Strudwick, seconder. Audrey Horkoff. Will it mess things up if we do those in a different order? Okay. So that question is out for vote. Those in favor of ratification of the Board of Directors' actions over the past year? Thank you. And the motion passes. So as we have another meeting to complete following this, we're going to have our scholarship AGM, so I just ask that after we're finished the business of the CWA board, that you stay to take part in that motion or in that meeting as well, as all memberships of Canadian Western Agribition are also memberships of the scholarship board. And following that, the Board of Directors will meet to elect the President, Vice President, and Executive Committee for the upcoming year. And we will hope that you stay for that as well. I would like to thank all those who were nominated for taking part in our elections and showing your interest in Canadian Western Agribition. It's really gratifying for those of us that are on the board and all of those of us that are involved to see that there are so many people interested in being part of this organization and interested in stepping up to the plate and taking a leadership role and being a part of the board. Thanks, Mayor. This is a little bigger job than we've had in a while. I think we'll just take a break for a few minutes, so if people want to stand up and stretch and have a visit at ease. I think our auditors are just working through the ballots, and we'll double check them before they give us the results. All right, folks, if you'd like to take your seats, and we'll give you the results of our election. So our directors, new directors coming back, or some of those are incumbents: Dr. Christine Ewart-Hill, Cynthia Beck, Garth Newell, Glenn Lipsett, Kelsey Ashworth, Levi Jackson, and Mona Taylor. Congratulations to all of those who have been successful candidates. Could I now have a motion to destroy the ballots? Anyone want to destroy the ballots? Good. Helgi. Seconder Kelly Howe. In favor? And those online, please open your election buddy and cast a vote. So as we wait for that, just a reminder that we will be having Michael come up, and we'll be having our scholarship AGM immediately following. So once again, thank you to everyone who has joined us here today. Thank you to those who have joined us online. And I hope that you are staying for this evening's There, we've got the vote. Staying for this evening's volunteer night as well. So the motion to destroy the ballots has passed. We have completed the business of the AGM for today, and I would like a motion to adjourn. Curtis Kahinka, thank you. Michael?
Okay, well, thank you, Kim, and congratulations to the newly elected Board of Directors. Look forward to serving with you on that, and thank you for everybody that let their name stand. I know that takes a lot of courage to let your name stand when it's an election, and this is maybe one of the, or probably without a doubt, the strongest slate of candidates that I've seen in my time here at Agribition. So just thank you for doing that. But we'll call the meeting of the third annual general meeting for the Scholarship Fund, which will soon be the Agribition Community Foundation. I'll call that to order. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, Candace Bai. Do I have a seconder for that? Ali Pike. Sorry, I'm just whoever I randomly make eye contact with here, so look down if you don't want to make it. Okay, so I'll call for a vote on that. And there is agendas at the back, because you can't fake your way through this, you guys, and like when you haven't seen the agenda and approve it, but they are at the back, and along with the financial statements. Okay, so I'll just wait for the electronic version here. And maybe while we're waiting, just thank everybody for hanging tight, because I know we're between the business, really why you're here, being the Agribition AGM, and the social hour after this. So I know I'm in like no man's land here, so we're going to try and move fast. Okay, so that was approved online. So we'll move forward and just accepting the minutes from the second annual AGM that was here last year. Those were presented online. So if anybody has any questions on those, but I just asked for if anybody would like to make a motion to approve those. Bill Gray. Do I have a seconder? Craig Scott. Okay, all in favor? Okay, we'll just wait for the online here. I think this is kind of the last of the online ones for a bit here, so we'll get it sped up after this. Okay, that was approved as well, so thank you everybody for that. Okay, just moving on to number 3 here on the agenda is just the message from the chair. You know, and I think this was an interesting year. This was the third year for the scholarship fund. You know, we'd seen some challenges, you know, in fundraising in previous years. We tried some zero-turn mowers last year. The year before that, we had the truck auction, which kind of kicked off part of the reason why we were doing the scholarship fund. And that one was actually quite successful. So we know there's potential out there when we're doing some of the fundraising. And we think that, you know, if we position ourselves correctly, we move, you know, maybe in the right direction, you know, that we can capitalize and really work, you know, with the corporate agribition, you know, on expanding the brand. So really starting last June, the board of directors for the scholarship fund met, and we had a strategic planning session. And a lot of that was based off the strategic plan that the main agribition board of directors and staff went through in 2022. But really what we saw on that is it's really tough, you know, in the environment that we have to fundraise, you know, for scholarships. And we're looking at the fundraising that goes on during agribition, during some of the other shows that we have throughout the year. And we thought, well, we really need to consolidate the place where a lot of that fundraising takes place. And with that, that's an opportunity to expand the agribition brand, the influence that we have in the community, or actually even across Saskatchewan, and really give back to the people that support agribition. There's a lot of opportunity for youth development, rural development, working with other charities. You know, the door's really wide open on this. We haven't really got everything locked down like 100% how this is going to look and who we're going to work with. So I think over the next few years, I think we will, I'm not going to say I think, we will have some unique fundraising activities that are going to provide some opportunities, whether they're lifestyle events like you see some of the other foundations in agriculture providing. But we want to expand the reach of what this particular organization is going to do. And really the start of that was amending our bylaws, changing the name to the Agribition Community Foundation, which I believe reflects, you know, the goal of what we're trying to do with this foundation, and just like start moving forward. So I think this, you know, is kind of a low-key event here today on how we're doing some of this. I'll go through the finances here just in a little bit. But I think, you know, 10 years from now, I'm pretty confident that we're going to look back on this and be in a pretty, like a foundational day, you know, in the structure of how agribition works within the community, works with our partners, works for all the goals that we've outlined. And I think that's going to be pretty special. So this is day one, and we'll see where this goes. I know we have a terrific board of directors that have been placed over the past year, and I believe all of them have allowed their names to stand. So I'll take a minute just to recognize them. So we have Bill Gray, Mark Mulatz, Candice Bai, and Todd Andrews, don't think he's here today, that have served as that board of directors for the Scholarship Fund, now the Agribition Community Foundation. And that was a pretty dedicated group, you know, that pounded through getting, you know, bylaws changed, name changed, looking at all the options that we have and how do we grow this, how do we make this really into something special. So I just want to thank the board of directors that served with me on this. I know how much effort that was put into that, that we can't do it without, you know, the volunteers. So for me, thank you. I just also want to recognize the staff that have also helped us with this. So Sean and his team, so we had Shaylin, Melissa, Kristen. Now I'm going to start forgetting people's names. This is why I should have stuff written down. But the staff have been absolutely terrific too in helping us trying to identify the path forward to achieving our goals on this. So I just want to give a thanks to them as well. So with without further ado, I won't take up too much more of your guys' time, but I did think that was important to just make that statement of where we're going with this foundation. I know Sean had touched on it earlier, but it's going to be something that's going to be very important in the years ahead for Agribition and everything that we do kind of around showtime and throughout the year. So we'll move on to the financial report. There are copies at the back. If anybody wants to look through these, they're pretty straightforward. Maybe there are some handed out. And it's so one of the discussions that we had is, do these need to be audited or reviewed? We did land on that these statements do need to be audited, especially if we're going to go forward as a charitable foundation, and with all the intention of working with a lot bigger numbers than that we've been working with here the past few years. So these are audited statements done by MNP. I think really I'll just draw your attention to a couple things here, and then we can look at approving them. This year we didn't run some of the big raffles that we did in the previous years, so that's going to throw off some of the year-over-year numbers on that. We did still receive donations of $4,745. Big part of that was from the golf tournament, so that's a donation from the main corporate Agribition. But still, at the end of the day, provided that we had invested into some legal and the cost of the audit, so we did have an expense on those of $6,647, which put us in a deficit of $5,660 for this past year, which is not something really happy about coming up present, but this was an investment to take a step back, to take what I'm going to say is going to be a whole bunch forward. So I think this was a calculated cost. We can't put it just on corporate Agribition to fund everything that we do. We're going to put lots on them, but we can't do everything. So we were responsible for incurring those costs. And next year, we'll look for a very different financial statement. But that's the statements there. So maybe what I'll do at this point, I'll just look for a motion to approve the audited financial statements. Courtney McDougall, a seconder. Anybody want to second this? Gordon Stevenson. Okay, so I'll call for, actually, any further discussion? I probably wasn't calling for that on the other ones. Okay, no, I'll move on from that fast. We'll just wait for the online here. I probably should have come up with some really good dad jokes or something to entertain you guys while I'm up here waiting for the delay, but I think usually when I do those, I just dig that hole deeper, and I don't know, my kids don't think I'm very funny. You guys probably won't either when you get up here, but how are we looking on the online? Is anybody left? Okay, we have 4 people online, so I might be able to declare some of these passed before waiting for the online. I don't know if that's their amount. So I'll declare the audited financial report as accepted. Moving on to number B, we need to appoint the auditors for the 2024-2025 year. We'll recommend that MNP, who's also doing Agribition's audit, that they will be our auditor again this year. So if I could have a motion to approve MNP. Mark Mulatz and Shannon McCartan. Sorry, Shannon, your head's kind of like, I need to be a little bit taller here. So we have a motion or seconder. Any further discussion on that? Okay, seeing none. All in favor? Okay, carried. Online people can vote, but there's only 4, so I think we got enough to move it along. Okay, next we're just going to move into the approval of the slate of directors. We have a few that were put forward, which is our returning directors. So we have Bill Gray, Mark Mulatz, Todd Andrews, Candace Bai. Now, they're on the slate. I'll ask for any nominations from the floor because we can have up to 9 directors. Okay, Marty Seymour. Bryce Thompson. Sorry, I just can't hear on that one. Craig Clemmer. Okay. Okay, so that will be our slate of candidates for the board of directors. Any other nominations from the floor? Okay, I'll declare that closed. Just look for a motion to approve this slate of directors. Candace Bai, Cynthia Beck, you started to make a motion there, so make eye contact so we get all in favor. Okay, carried. Welcome to our new directors, and thank you again for returning directors. Look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do over the next year. Just number 6, just getting in. Candace Bai and Cynthia Beck. Okay, just number 6 on the agenda, just call for resolutions. Is there any resolutions from the floor? This will be. Okay. Okay, thank you, Mark. Okay, so Mark has asked for a resolution to change the name from the CWA Scholarship Fund to the Agribition Community Foundation. Is that clear for everybody on that name change? Okay, Kim Hextall is making the motion. Do I have a seconder? Helgi Bai. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, carried. Okay, any further resolutions? Was there any other housekeeping things that we needed to do, Mark?
Technically, you should be approving the change of bylaws. I'm not sure they went out to everybody for them to look at.
They were distributed online with the notice. Okay. Okay, so Mark has also indicated that we need a motion to approve the change of bylaws. Those are online that went out with the meeting notice. I'm sure everybody's read them and is up to speed on them. No, don't worry, there's no test. Nobody has to head for the door. Okay, so can I ask for a motion to approve the amended bylaws? Mark Mulatz makes the motion. Seconder, Carl Sauter. You got like a shadow on your hat, that's why I can't see that far. No, he's over to the right a little bit. Okay, so Mark made the motion, Carl seconded it. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, I'll declare that carried. Okay, now Mark, are we good? Got those two out of the way? Okay. All right, then moving on to number 7 is a motion to ratify the actions of the 2023-2024 Board of Directors. I'll ask for a motion for that. Oh, Bill Gray makes the motion. Sorry, Dale Strudwick seconds that motion. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, I'll declare that passed. Thank you. And now we're just on to the closing remarks, and I think I've taken up probably a lot more time than you guys wanted. I know that I'm between now and the hospitality room, so I'm going to keep that short and ask for adjournment. Blake McMillan. Okay. All in favor? Nobody opposed that one. Anyway, well, thank you, everybody. Now we got some happy hour, I think, happening, so enjoy your evening and look forward to it. Thank you. Okay, yeah, well, now is when we do that. For the CWA Board of Directors, we're going to have our meeting to elect the president, vice president, and the executive just upstairs. So if everybody can start making their way up there, and then we'll be back with those results.